Call the meeting to order, and we'll stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Step right up, Southern New Hampshire Planning.
Do you have some handouts? There are two of them. There should be extras.
Good evening, and for the record, my name is Sylvia Von Avalon. I'm Executive Director at Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission, and tonight I have with me one of our associate planners, Cam Perlman. So really briefly, I know you have a lot on your agenda, and so we're just going to take 7 to 10 minutes of your time to just really go over our age-friendly program and what that means for the town of Deerfield, what that has meant for the town of Deerfield, and a little bit about the opportunity that we are presenting to your community. So Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission, Deerfield is one of our 14 communities, and our age-friendly program is really about recognizing the growing population of seniors, as well as how young adults are leaving the state. And we're trying to work with our communities on addressing that. So not just the needs of seniors, but also trying to figure out how do we keep our young adults in our communities. And so in 2015, we received a grant from the Tufts Health Plan Foundation, and we work with all our communities on doing assessments. And those age-friendly assessments, the one we just passed out, what Cam just passed out, and what you now have, we've actually sent to your community, I think it was 6 months ago or so, and we've also had, you can find it on our website. But basically what we did is we had community conversations with all 14 of our communities. And we focused on 4 topic areas: transportation and accessibility, recreation and engagement, housing, affordability, the trends, as well as economic development and business growth. And so what you're seeing in front of you is an executive summary, as well as a variety of those 4 topic areas. What we did after the assessment, we sent them to the community for vetting, and some communities we received feedback, some we didn't. So you may find some things there as you're reviewing that may need to be revised. If that's so, we're happy to do it. But really, we're not wanting to focus so much on specifics, just the overall assessment. So that has been done, and that was done through community conversations. So we came here, we invited a host of community champions, we publicized that, you publicized that, and we met here with approximately a dozen folks. We also created an online survey reaching the same sort of topics that the transportation, housing, etc. And we put that online and posted that in all manner of places. In your survey, you'll see how many, at the back of the survey, you'll see how many people responded in Deerfield. But basically, in total, we had 641 participants in all 14 communities. Transportation was the #1 issue. What we heard often was, I don't know what I'm going to do as a senior when I no longer can drive. That was a very common concern. What am I going to do if I want to downsize and I don't have so many choices in my community? Most seniors definitely want to live in their community. They grew their family there. They know their doctors, they know their neighbors, and they want to stay in their community. But they're finding it difficult in whether it's transportation issues or medical services, things like that. But also with young adults, we're finding that They also want similar things. They want a variety of housing choices, and they don't necessarily want to drive. They want transportation choices. And in rural communities, that presents a real growing challenge. So comes phase 2, and that's why we're here tonight. Phase 2 is really inviting communities to go from the assessment phase into perhaps a strategic planning phase at no cost to the community. Again, we received funding from Tufts Health Plan Foundation. We're here tonight because of assistance from AARP. And Cam will talk a little bit about what tools AARP has and what an age-friendly community pilot program may be.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the board. Again, my name is Cam Pullman. So yeah, what does an age-friendly community look like? The reality is that it's going to look different depending on the community. Through our research of different case studies and best practices, specifically through the help of AARP's model of age-friendly cities, they've developed a toolkit which we have utilized, and I think through AARP's program, a total of around 200 communities have signed up to become age-friendly. None in New Hampshire, but I think 44 in total in the state of Maine. And what that looks like is ultimately these communities go through this strategic planning phase where they look at very similar topics that Sylvia just mentioned in terms of housing, transportation, things like information and outreach, how to best get information out there to the public. And I think we've been looking at comparable examples to some of the towns in our region. I think a comparable one could be Newport, Vermont, which has a population of about 2,000. They didn't do, their strategic plan isn't heavily based in infrastructure, it's not based in a ton of investment. It's really based on how do we get information out to the public? How can we make our town information more swallowable, more consumable to our residents? They also looked at and developed housing goals to support the growing needs of the community. But the reality is that these strategic plans are, they're locally based and they're locally driven. In this phase 2, what we envision is maybe having another community conversation, working with town staff, residents, maybe local organizations to see, what would an age-friendly Deerfield look like? So I think for that, maybe Sylvia, do you want to talk a little more about what we're asking for phase 2?
So where does that leave you folks? So what we're asking each community, and we're having the same conversation with 13 of the 14 communities. Francistown is the only town that opted out. They have too much going on right now. So in other projects and programs. But this is meeting number 9 for us. And right now, 4 of our communities, the meeting then and there that we were at, the selectmen voted to direct the town administrator to send us a letter of interest. And that's what we're asking for, if you were so moved. We're asking for letters of interest. And if that's something, if this program that moving forward from the assessment to an age-friendly strategic plan, if that's of interest, or whatever your pilot program may look like. As Cam said, it would be unique for each community. But we have to know that the community is interested, which is why we're going to select boards and town councils and not planning boards. Because you're the leaders of the community, and we're seeking to know that the leaders of the community want and are interested in becoming age-friendly. So all we would need from you is a letter of interest. We're looking the date as far as timetable. Our deadline for this letter is January 19th. By the end of January, our subcommittee which is made up of our communities. So we have representatives from a variety of the communities and agencies that have been working with us on the age-friendly program. They're going to help us through a set of criteria determine which 3 communities will be chosen to move into the pilot program. And that will happen at the end of January, and we're aiming for mid to late May to be complete in that initial pilot program. What would happen after that, that's what our funding ends for this phase at the end of June. We will be trying for a phase 3 because we know that more than 3 communities are interested in moving forward with pilot programs, so we're going to try for a phase 3. So maybe, let's say you're not ready, maybe you determine you don't want to go right now, but you might be ready next year. That would allow for that option. Maybe you are ready and you want to jump on board because this is, again, no cost to the community. Maybe you're recognizing that your master plan needs to be updated anyway, and this would be a great precursor to that. So lots of opportunity here is basically what we're trying to put forward, and so we leave it to you, but that's our timetable. Any questions?
Anyone?
I think it would be a good idea.
Yeah.
The fact that Jeff hasn't got as many gray hairs as the rest of us.
Be a child. Do we want to,
What is she looking for, a letter or a yes?
she's looking for a letter of interest from the town.
I think we could proceed with a letter of interest, certainly.
Yeah.
Everybody's in agreement?
You bet.
We'll send you a letter.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for bringing this
Nice
to us.
report.
We look forward to working with you, I hope.
Very well, thank you. Send them a letter saying we're interested. Cool.
And I believe you have in your packet also one sheeter, and on the back of that, it describes a little bit.
It could be the 2-page table.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, sorry. On the second half of that here, it describes a little bit about what we're looking for the letter.
Very well.
Thanks again.
Thank
for
you.
your time.
Merry Christmas. All right, review of outstanding minutes for the 11th of December.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded.
I don't have any corrections.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Note for the record that on the 19th, all 5 members of the select board approved a accounts payable manifest in the amount of $79,825.53. And the same 5 members on the same day approved a payroll grossing at $75,877.76, netting at $59,533.20. I have a request from a resident, James and Jacqueline Spence of Middle Road, to sell back to the town their lot at the Old Center Cemetery. And I'm trying to...
Is there a price?
Row 5, lot P16, for the sum of $800, and at the same time, buy lot Q3 at the Old Center Cemetery for the same $800.
I would make a motion that we grant that request.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Is there a better view, or?
That's what they want to do.
So who picks up the cost of the deed and that stuff?
We do it, I guess. They, I don't know how long they've had it, but they probably paid the same amount of money
Right,
for one lot or another, and I guess we have to pick up the deed.
okay. Just asking.
No problem. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? From the town clerk tax collector. As you are aware, I'm resigning from my town clerk tax collector position effective December 31st, 2017. With this in mind, I would recommend that the Board of Selectmen appoint my current deputy town clerk tax collector to be the acting town clerk tax collector from the term of office being January 1st, 2018 to March 16th, 2018, with all rights and privileges of the position.
So moved.
That would be Dick and Fred. All those who are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm glad she wants to.
Indeed. All right, about a month ago, we had a contract here for $1,460 for Granite State Analytical Services, who tests the water in this building and others for the town. We asked for other prices. The only other one that John was able to find was Second Wing Water Systems. Their price was $2,362.50. So it would be my recommendation that we go ahead and stay with Granite State Analytical.
Is that for a year?
That
Or
is,
one test, or how does that work?
There's a variety of tests that they do.
Because
It's
we're
a
public
year.
water
Yeah,
supply,
a year.
we have to.
I
Yeah.
believe it's a year.
Okay.
January 1st, 2018 to December 31st.
Yeah, because we're considered a public water supply.
Yeah, we have
we
to
have to.
maintain. So, could I get a motion for the chairman to sign the contract?
Second?
Fred and Andy.
Fred and Andy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Today's the 20th, yes, it is. All right, I have 3 personnel action requests. For the 3 new people, that would be the Assistant Parks and Rec, the new building supervisor who we wanted to get on board and know his position before Mark leaves, and the administrative assistant. That would be Randy Long at $15 an hour. The Assistant Parks and Rec Director at $37,400 for the year, and $20 an hour for Raymond Ellis, the new building maintenance supervisor. If it would be possible, I'd like a motion to approve all 3 and for the chair to sign the personnel action request.
So moved?
Second?
Andy and Jeff.
What did we approve a week ago?
I believe we approved exactly that.
We're just signing these?
Yes.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
What was the secretary's rate again?
The administrative assistant was 15 an hour. And I would think in any discussion that we decide to take on salaries or any kind of raises, that we would exclude these three people.
Correct.
Yep.
I have two requests for appointments to deputy forest fire wardens. I'd like to put that off until the beginning of the year.
Definitely. I haven't done any homework.
And I don't know if that came from
Came-
both chiefs or just?
It came from the
Outgoing chief.
outgoing chief.
Yeah, that was definitely a massive approval on that too.
And I would say that, just thinking of that, that, in my opinion, we should ask John to prepare a letter to be sent to the state, asking that the new chief be appointed as the forest fire warden.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with
We
that.
agree.
So if you could prepare that, and when we could sign that at the beginning of the year. I think I got that. Is there any members of the board who have any interest whatsoever in putting Keno on the warrant? The lottery executive director has just contacted us to give us the information and if we want to do that, there are certain things we need to do, but I'm thinking that's not
I wouldn't have an interest, particularly as we've had no specific requests from.
Exactly.
the town business to,
okay. We asked.
so that's the third thing. We can now do
Keno?
dancing, Keno, and liquor licenses all fall under us.
Really? Amazing, isn't it?
Live dancing.
Live dancing.
You have to get the board's approval.
Yeah.
Have dancers.
All right, that's review of correspondence. The town administrator's report.
I have two items. One, an update on one of our rescue vehicles. Rescue Vehicle 2 has had an issue with their head gasket and the engine, and it is being replaced as we
Head
speak.
gasket.
Head gasket. At an estimated cost of $6,100. It's due back in service next week. It is the main vehicle that's used, so I had to get it fixed.
This is not the main, it's Rescue 2?
Yes.
Okay, so the main vehicle is the van that Rescue Squad
Correct.
uses, right?
And also, Chief Tibbetts is proposing to the town to buy the equipment rack that he had installed in the command vehicle at his own cost back in 2006. This rack contains all the radio equipment and storage for the chief's fire equipment when they show up on scene. He's offering to sell it to the town for $600. It originally cost $1,947 back in 2006.
1,009.
1,000.
Not 1,900.
$1,947.
Yeah, I think the incoming fire chief should make the advisement to us as to how we should proceed with regard to that.
Yeah, good idea.
I have talked to him briefly about it. He would recommend that we buy the rack as it, because to take it all out, all the radio equipment would have to be removed, and then we'd have to have it reinstalled.
Yep. But if he's in agreement, and I'm happy to move forward with that suggestion. And
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
We'll do that.
I'm sure they've gone up in price since.
Oh, yeah.
the
Right.
one was purchased.
And
So
that's
that
it.
check will get made out to Mark Tibbetts for
That is
600?
correct. It's a,
Just so it's on
and
the
I have
record.
an invoice and the original copy of the invoice that he paid to have it installed
Great.
as backup.
Excellent.
That's it for me.
Any questions for the town administrator?
Not now.
All right, unfinished business. Start with the 2018 budget review. So we have a MBC budget action. First off, I'm looking at removing $869 from the George VW, $1,079 from Parks and Rec, removing $2,401 from,
Adding,
Yeah.
that's adding, okay.
Plus.
There was no parentheses, I'm sorry. Adding $2,401 to the cemetery budget, and adding $100,000 to the highway budget for road reconstruction, I understand.
Yeah, and I can give you a brief overview, if you'd like, of the discussions we've had at the Budget Committee. The GPW, I think we should leave our line intact. This was just sort of picking, seeing if there was anything that could be cut, and I think $869 is negligible and will probably be put to good use in that budget. Parks and Rec, the $1,079 was a proposal brought forward by Nick. And the rationale for putting the $1,079 in the budget instead of the revolving fund, it was primarily for signs to be used on the now vacant 250th signpost.
Yes.
For town events, and Nick had made the argument, I think pretty logically, that for things like Old Home Day and Sit with Santa, that type of thing, these are not things that the Parks and Rec Department does on their own behalf. They don't collect fees or funds for these activities, but they are expected to pick up some of the costs, advertise, that type of thing. And he put the $1,079 in the budget line with the Parks and Rec Director's salary. Those are the only two items there. The salaries for Parks and Rec Director, half the salary for the administrative or assistant director, and he included that amount. The Budget Committee felt that there was probably enough slop in the revolving fund for that to come out of that.
But it would seem to me that,
Nick and I made the argument that Parks and Rec, handles the town things with no fees collected to offset expenses, and and the town doesn't give them any money to offset expenses for things like Old Home Day and such, and he thought it was best left there.
Yeah, good
They
idea.
voted to remove it, so.
I agree, you leave it in.
I would think, yeah, leaving it in is correct. Especially since I happened to pass by that sign the other day and look at it and go, that looks awful the way it is right now.
Well, what he'd gotten is a professional proposal for their, vinyl is not the correct word, but some sort of weatherproof.
Right.
Coroplast
Yes.
signage that can be made quickly, easily, looks professional, looks good, isn't paper and doesn't fade
Okay.
and shred, that we could put up there for events. And he had a schedule of events that were priced out.
It'll do us a lot more good than that goofball electric thing that spins out there. You can't see driving by.
Oh, and
At least this will promote activities in town.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, the $100,000, would you recommend that we,
Well, I can tell you the
Match it.
rationale for putting it in there. It was Mr. Vervel's motion, and he's made it in years past, and his explanation was that he feels that we could do more to keep up with the condition and maintenance of the roads. And his rationale for the $100,000, he'd done a little bit of homework, and, basically told the group, he said last year, the road agent said he didn't need any extra money because we didn't have anything that needed to be done in town, and we were going along just fine. He said, and as soon as $126,000 became available for the state, we had 3 critical projects that we could use to maintain the roads with. He said, I'm thinking if there was another $100,000, the road agent would probably find some other critical spots that need maintenance or could use a skim coat or something to buy condition and years on the road. And I didn't necessarily disagree with him. As a selectman, I'm thinking that I would probably not be in favor of the $100,000. from this board, just because we're up on the budget already, and if the road agent is comfortable foregoing that money, then. And I would also note that 3 of the spots that were critical, that being the uphill section of Mount Delight past Baker's Farm, the sort of permanently washboarded section of Range, and the section of South that has been in pretty poor repair, are all going to be fixed this spring with the carryover money from, I believe it's a combination of impact fee and state grant that we got. So,
Right.
so 3 of the critical areas are being taken care of anyway, in addition to the Cotton Road section that the road agent has proposed. So I guess I would be happy letting the
Leaving it.
committee keep the 100,000 in their line and leaving our line without it.
Okay,
Definitely.
yes, sir?
I'm glad you mentioned South Road. Jeff and I were just briefly discussing it. Based on John's correspondence with DOT, in order for DOT to take over South Road, we have to have that constructed to certain specifications that they require in order to take it over. And I think that we should seriously look into that so that we can have DOT take that road over. And whatever reconstruction we're talking about occurring next year should be with the eye upon meeting whatever specification they have for the road, so that ultimately that road can be taken over by DOT.
Right.
Wait.
I would note that I believe that the reconstruction proposed for South Road next year, using a portion of the state block grant, for lack of a better term, is for a fairly short segment of the road. So are you proposing that we might want to consider keeping the 100,000 and earmark it for South Road?
Well, certainly if it ends up passing in their budget, that would be one of the areas that I would.
We could
strongly
target
recommend.
it on.
We could certainly direct the road agent to
Dick?
consider that strongly.
Yeah.
I know Mark got a hold of me and said he was definitely against it, and I think going with what Fred says, that we should have a proposal brought to us specifying South Road improvements with a dollar figure, not just picking 100,000 out of the air
Mhm.
and hoping that it'll do something there.
Right. I would agree with
But
that.
I think you're on track, and we need to get some figures for doing it right, if we're gonna go that route, not
Mhm.
just add 100 to Mark's deal that he didn't want at this point. He hasn't put any projects together that he would spend it on. Let it be.
All right,
So does that make it $453, or do we just, we're leaving it alone?
we're continuing our budget as exists.
So are we adding the 2,500 to the cemetery?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. The cemetery, that was a specific motion to, one, increase the cemetery supervisor's salary, which is Mark Young. It was noted by the cemetery directors that Mark and the person before him, although Mark has been there for a long time now, probably 15 years or
At
better.
least as long as I've been around.
We've always had just that flat amount in there, which is fairly minimal for what is requested of the person. So I think even with the increase, it's still fairly minimal. And there was also a bump towards, maintenance and that sort of thing in the cemeteries. And there was some discussion of the trust funds and the changes that we've made there, and how we're hoping that this is going to bolster funds that we have available for maintenance and repair of cemeteries. Maureen Mann did a fairly lengthy presentation on they finished their cemetery identification project, as she explained to us. They discovered that there's no more cemeteries really than we thought there were, but there are more town-owned cemeteries than people realized. And clearly, the distant ones in very remote places, that sort of thing, we're not going to clear trees and plant flowers and
Right.
mow lawns, that sort of thing. But there are some town-owned cemeteries that are, on roadways, that sort of thing, that we've done no maintenance on, period. So that led the budget committee to agree that we could bolster the funding.
Would it be your recommendation to add that to our budget or leave our budget as is?
I'd be comfortable adding that to our
I think we
budget.
should add the 2401.
Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll add the 2401. Keep the George B. White and Parks and Rec and
Yes.
Highway budget as is.
Nix.
Everybody okay with that? Yes, sir?
Raises the other question with, on the highway budget. We've all received the copy of the quote for striping on.
Yes.
I didn't bring that with me. How much was it, Fred?
16 something, 1,600.
Is that a spring project?
Well, that would,
Approve it now, what to do in the spring?
sometime next year.
Total cost $1,650. What would you like to do? Would you like to add that to the to the Highway Department's budget for them to do it, or?
That would make sense to have it under their budget. I guess the other possibility is on the police department, but I think it makes more sense under the highway.
Definitely,
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah,
yes.
we've talked about it for years.
Might as well do it.
And
As long as it's under highway.
Put $1,650 in the highway budget at whatever appropriate line we can ascertain. Any other discussion on, yes, sir?
I would just note that we have the pre-Christmas budget committee meeting tomorrow night. Everyone's welcome to come. I'm sure it'll be jolly and festive.
We're
I know
sen-
John will be there.
we're sending our best rep.
Indeed. All right, let's move on to other parts of the budget discussion. We specifically asked for information regarding highway employees. Jeff got us some DOT information. Mark got us other town information. Am I correct?
Yeah, and I've thrown the Davis-Bacon numbers in there for Rockingham County for 2017, too, just because they give you a very specific breakdown of.
Do we have a classification of the 3 highway employees based on what they do?
You have a classification in your packet of a highway maintainer 3.
Yeah,
I had Mark look over all 3 options that Jeff had sent me, and he chose that one that best described the current status of the employees he has.
okay, so we don't have a highway maintainer 1. Okay,
He said 3 best described the people that he has working for him right now.
very good. Yes, sir.
I think I would probably be in agreement with that, because I think that Highway Maintainer 3 involves equipment operation more than the one, I believe. Front-end loader, backhoe, and we require our guys to operate front-end loaders and backhoes and excavators as we rent them, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
So based on that, we have a request from the road agent to raise everybody $1. We have this wage schedule, which was effective January 6, 2017. What is the board's opinion on what we should do? Yes?
I will say, at first blush, I was not particularly interested in using the flat amount of $1. It seemed random to me as a number, but as I looked at these numbers, when you calculate how you might adjust things, using various percentages and such,
Just doesn't work.
right around $1 would actually be a fairly reasonable and fair adjustment, I think, and keep everybody in scale.
If you look at the 3rd page, you'll see the current
Right?
rate. Yeah, it's behind that.
Yeah, after that one. Right, I got it on this.
Related state,
So even given
Well,
the other 2 $1, they still don't hit the high end of the state pay
yeah,
range.
one of our employees is above the level,
Right,
and 2 are about $1 below.
and the exception that I would make for Carl Oler is That position is the assistant to the highway agent, so if the highway agent is out of town or in the hospital, what have you, that position becomes the de facto highway agent. He's also got considerably more experience than the other two
Right.
employees, so.
Well, no, I believe that his current rate is, measured with his position and experience, but what would we like to do with that?
I'll make a motion that we add $1 to Matt Kimball, Paul Kimball, and Kyle Lola's existing pay rate right now, per hour.
I'll second it, but, well, it's your motion, Dick, so you speak to it first.
I don't know how you can put a percentage and come out with a figure, and that's what the road agent asked for. And after talking with the employees, they seem to be agreeable with it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess my thought is, do we want to incorporate this into the wage scale and then adjust these guys? Or do we want to consider this like a merit increase or a cost of living adjustment to these three specific roles?
I thought it
I'm-
was bringing them up to working rate as far as nothing to do with cost of living.
We don't have a wage scale for them at this point, right?
No,
So that's what we're gonna set up over the next year or something. So this would be where we're gonna start with a scale. Or it
I-
would fall into the scale somewhere.
all right, so looking at this, based on the current highway staff and the wage scale that we've taken from the state, Carl is above the wage scale that we're looking at, and these two gentlemen are in the middle of it. And I'm sure that these employees work very hard, but is there a specific reason that you would make your motion, Dick?
Bringing
What-
them, just that I don't think I think they more than deserve it.
And while I may agree with you, I believe that we could probably make a case for every single employee in this place, that I think they deserve it. I'm looking for a reason in my mind. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit unorthodox in the way we usually do things. However, I would say that not at present, but within the past 12 months, 18 months, we made similar adjustments for the finance manager, for the town administrator, for the previous town administrator. I think there's precedent for doing this. And I'm looking at the state maintainer wages. When I looked at the Davis-Bacon wages, all three of them are below that, which if they were working on a state project, I'm not quite sure how the state maintainer rates comply with that if they're working on a project that's funded federally,
Federally funded.
where those are the minimum requirements.
No.
No, it's more, it's for consultants and contractors,
Right.
not for employees.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly.
And just so we can, this wage scale from the state, step 1 through 4 is each year, you get a step. 4 to 5 is 2 years, 5 to 6 is 2 years. And I think 6 to 7 might be 2, and then 7 to 8 is 3 years
Right.
for the step. So it's not like every year they get the step, but
Right.
it really doesn't matter if we put them up. And I think the highway maintainer 3 is actually, is a supervisor, so that's something else. I
Okay.
think Carl, it sounds like Carl is.
Carl is, I mean, even
Assistant. Yeah.
during the snowstorm, if Mark's out plowing, Carl's there to direct the trucks as they come in. I read an article last week that the state of Maine had to sub out their plowing to a firm from Ohio because they couldn't get enough people. And their average price was $38.71 an hour.
Supply and bodies.
Right, so, I mean, the way these guys know these roads, I think we have a good deal going for what they do for us with just 3 of them. I just don't like the way it came about. I mean, we asked the town administrator to get surrounding towns for an idea, and then it came about. everybody in town here when we were just gonna talk about the road crew. So I hope it's not opening up a can of worms for the rest of the employees.
Well, actually, that's just a list of our employees so that we understand what it is, and we, I guess in the Pratt, my understanding has been we decided to talk about the request by the highway agent, and after that, I was going to move on to what do we want to do for everybody.
Right.
Well, as we've discussed before, I think if we make this adjustment for the highway department, and we decide to move forward with a COLA, or something along those lines, that we would exclude the most recently adjusted. I believe we said we'd do that with the police officers, and I think we could adjust the highway guys and tell them the same thing. That would be my personal thought.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion to increase each member of the highway department by $1 per hour? Yes, sir?
I would say, and incorporate that into our ongoing wage scale that we set up.
Okay. And would that include, would your motion, Dick, include an effective date?
January 1st.
I think it
Would you
would be
want it-
reasonable to make the effective date,
Should we have it in this year?
yeah,
Okay.
with a,
Well, I don't think we should go back, but if we can start it as of tonight or whatever the pay period is.
what's,
The last pay period has already been paid. We've paid out 26 pay periods. There's no more pay periods in 2017.
okay. We could make it retroactive to today,
Okay.
if that's something you'd like to do.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know how that works, so as long as it's in place.
Second, okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. All that are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very well.
So it's retroactive
Retroactive
to
to today.
The expectation would end up being that we'll end up having a recommended wage scale.
Right.
And I think Carl wouldn't, based on the fact that he is basically second in command for highway department, he shouldn't be grouped in with these other two gentlemen.
We should find a more, find a better way to describe his position.
Right. And it all stemmed from the previous road agent, the amount that he wasn't in town. Carl was doing a lot of extra work and is trained in it and continues to help when he can. So it's definitely not like he's just a loader operator.
Right.
Yes, sir.
There is there's a patrol foreman and assistant patrol foreman, so maybe.
So that's possible
you
that
get
we can
patrol
incorporate that in.
foreman, see what that labor rate is. I just pulled out the maintainers, I didn't
Right.
pull up the other ones, so.
Andrew?
Yeah, to my mind, the thing that's gonna jump out about Carl, in addition to his role, his experience, I don't know how many years he's been here, but he was here when I came on the board, and that was like 18 or 19 years ago. So
Right.
I gotta say, he's a 20-year plus employee.
Exactly. And valuable. All right, so having done that, moving on to a discussion of a possible cost of living for the employees, excluding the town administrator, the highway department employees, and the police department. What does the board think?
I would recommend we pull Nick out of that too.
Yes.
I don't know if you said him or not, I didn't hear you, so.
We'll add him to the list of people we.
What about the town clerk? Since it's,
I'm gonna be a new position.
It's gonna be a new position. And the existing town clerk makes $45,760, while the assistant makes $35,110.
Well, the assistant would still be eligible, but the town clerk's position would not be.
Who's Howell K?
Karen Howell's the new librarian.
Yes.
Okay, so really on this top chart, there's only Karen and Kelly. Oh yeah, Ricky. 3, Pete, 4.
I would propose a 1.5 cost of living adjustment. Unless the town administrator's done some research and has a different number in mind. I don't know, I'm recalling that at least one of the federal indexes I saw was right around 1.6,
Yes.
1.59, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So can you, I'll second that if you'll make a new list of who's not included.
Yes,
1.57 is the number I got.
Yes, if you could be more specific as to.
All right, so
exactly
let's
who-
exclude the town clerk tax collector's position, the librarian's position, Matt and Paul Kimball, Nick Lawrence, Carl Oler, and,
And we've already excluded the police department.
Or Gary's out. Well, he
well,
wasn't, he wasn't.
Gary wasn't part of the,
He wasn't part of
He
the,
wasn't part of the wage adjustment,
Right.
so we could leave Gary.
Right.
so Gary stays. Rick Pelletier,
Yeah.
Kelly Roberts, Mark Young,
Yeah.
Dennis Ainsley, John Dubianski, Denny Gregg, Steve Jamil, Diane Kimball, Dennis Paradis, Sherry Sanborn, Alan Studley, Deb Trent Tavel, yeah, and Caitlin Wollock are included.
what's her title?
I believe Caitlin is the new assistant to the librarian.
Okay, library.
Would you like to make that,
Did you include Peter?
huh?
Did you say Pete LeMay?
Hope so.
Peter, yes, was on it, yes.
Just for clarification, I want to list off the people. I have Gary Duquette, Peter LeMay, Rick Pelletier, Kelly Roberts, Mark Young, and then the part-time people, Dennis Ainsley, John Dubianski, Denny Gregg, Steve Gemelli, Diane Kimball, Dennis Paradis, Sherry Sanborn, Alan Studley, Deb Triantafel, and Caitlin Wallach.
Correct.
Do you have an effective date on that motion, Andrew?
I would defer to the town administrator for accounting expertise in this. Does it make a difference whether it's January 1st or?
As I said, the last pay period's already been paid.
I think just do the,
Let's use January 1 then.
Very well.
And that's 1.5?
yes.
All those is in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Trying to make sure that we, were that all the, were those all of the issues that we needed to deal with?
The warrant articles, I'm assuming, are still for just review because we've got till the 9th before that closes.
That's correct.
Exactly. Any,
Do we have to do anything with joint loss?
read it and accept the report. Has everyone read the joint loss management statement? Is there any action that you'd like to take on it?
I'd make a motion that we accept the report.
Second.
And are there any recommendations that they're making that we wish to try and deal with?
I think we should try and deal with
All of them?
all of them.
All that are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Once again, any questions on the warrant articles, any suggestions, any additions? Fred?
The noise ordinance,
Yes.
which would end up having to be a warrant article.
Yes.
Which totally blows my mind, but that's. the
Yeah.
way it is.
Yeah, I think we should definitely include it.
Okay.
Try it and see, Frank.
Include it?
Include it.
I've certainly had enough phone calls about noise violations.
There was one section of that that talks about the use of Jake brakes.
Yes.
And,
I don't know how you enforce it.
right.
Can't.
So,
I hear them every day on Route 4
oh, yeah,
for
sure.
that light. It's just, how would you put a sign up there say,
But
A lot of towns do say
Yeah.
that Jake breaks are banned, except or some say except in emergency situations, or banned totally on, like Dover bans Jake breaks totally.
If you're going off the road into my house or something, I just assume
Yeah.
you throw a lever.
I did get somebody on South Road who was saying that they use. the
A
Jake
lot.
On South Road, yeah.
Okay, so a Jake brake on a normally aspirated truck is not ridiculously loud. But what you have is you have a whole lot of guys with open pipes, and then they bump the Jake brake up, and it's constant nasty noise. How you can stop it, I don't know. You know, you can put you can put an ordinance up for residential, non-use supposedly, but identifying and penalizing the people who don't obey the ordinance, I think is pretty much a waste of time.
I don't know how you, a log truck coming from Canada going down by here, how you would tell them,
Yeah,
other than a little sign.
So I can strike that.
I would strike that. Well,
Can you word it? so that-
how is it worded in the ordinance? Does it say no Jake brakes allowed?
Right now it's set up so that the specific roads.
Okay, so why not keep it in there with, we need to temper the language just to keep it honest. Just in case that, something were to happen, something along the lines of, the use of a Jake brake on these particular roads.
would be-
I think we should leave something in there because
Yes.
if we've got one particular contractor who
Yes.
every single day is
We need to have
shaking the neighborhood,
a tool to go after that
It would be
person.
nice to be able to put some teeth in that.
What it says right now would be illegally use the Jake brake in the following parts of town except in an emergency.
Okay, that works.
And the question, and then there's some exclusions. Any fire department vehicle responding to emergency shall be exempt from this section, any person, and then there's the fine associated with that.
Yeah,
But,
I'd like to keep some teeth in it to at least try and protect some of the roads.
I mean, fully understanding that we're not
Right.
gonna be pulling people over right and left.
Right.
Fine, but-
But if there's one guy with, 12-inch pipes who has no mufflers whatsoever and is running back and forth across a road, there's some teeth there.
So do we put all town roads except for 107 and 43, or
I would say all town roads.
all town roads?
107, 43, neither one of them is a town road, it's a state
Right,
road.
that's true.
So,
Town roads, yeah.
yeah, on town roads.
All right, so I'll revise this and get this to John.
Good.
And then I'll
Excellent.
send it off to Bart.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, I just want to mention that in putting this together, it didn't come from whole cloth here. I looked at the town of Hanover, town of Londonderry, town of Durham, and town of Exeter, and the city of Concord when I
Mm-hmm,
and as I mentioned previously, there are quite a few sections that are common to all of those ordinances that are in here, so that we're not breaking new ground, so to speak, with regard to what we've got covered in here.
appreciate the amount of time you put into it, Fred.
Yeah, do
So,
some homework.
all right, so I'll change that and get that to John.
All right. So, any other unfinished business anyone wants to bring up?
Good right now.
New or other? Anything?
Not that I can remember.
So we're looking at having a meeting on the 28th, which is a Thursday, Jim?
That's correct.
And finalizing 2017 and the encumbrances we may make and any other business we need to take care of.
I've been told, Mr. Chairman, that I'm...
Yeah, you're banned from attending.
On the 28th, Fred?
Yes.
Send your notes.
Feel free to send any comments you might have or any recommendations, and I understand. We have no need for a non-public session, so I'm gonna move right to citizens' comments. Miss Katie, would you like the microphone?
Put that on a cord.
Yeah. Boom mic, we need a large boom mic and a boom mic operator.
There's a couple of things that have bothered me.
Is that turned on, John?
Yep.
A couple of things that have bothered me. And one is that when I moved to Deerfield, there was maintenance of South Road by a certain portion from the state. And when I asked about it, they said it was because of a law passed through Senator Sanborn and other senators who have state parks in their town. And people were using the town road to get to the state parks. So the state of New Hampshire paved South Road back then, and we took care of winter maintenance. So I've asked about it and asked about it, nobody's bothered to do anything, so I found the law. And there was no changes to it. The law is still there. So I asked Jan, why didn't you talk to Chris Pappas, our executive counselor, and find out why we were no longer getting that maintenance on South Road? And I don't hear anything from any of the selectmen in regards to this. I gave the law to Mark Young. I gave the law to Division 6. And as I said, the law hasn't changed. It stayed the same. That the state would provide maintenance when there was a town road used to get to a state park. A portion of that. So I'm asking you to do something to find out why we're not still getting that maintenance on South Road that we got when I moved into this town in 1984. And I don't know if you've got the law, John, but I certainly gave it to Jan, and I can give it to you. So it would be getting the executive counselor to understand their duty in maintaining the help to the community through their job as contractor of state monies, state contract. So I'm asking you to do that. Find out why. Then, the second thing is, you voted for the salary for the assistant Parks and Rec, but you didn't say if that salary was going to come from a revolving fund in the same way it did in the past. It almost sounded like you're going to put that into the town budget, rather than it coming from a revolving fund.
Half and half. Half and half, as it was before.
Given the fact that the taxpayers of Deerfield are supporting the building, the paper products, the heat, the lights, for the summer camp, for the recreation, and they get to keep all the money in the revolving fund, which last year was over $224,000. I think that they should be paying their own salaries out of the revolving fund. Why should the elderly taxpayers of this town be supporting the daycare? Oh, by the way, the warrant article I wrote that this building be given to the town said that any excess space not used by the town offices would be rented. The only thing we're renting is Claire's and Yanni's. The rest is given. Thank you.
Anyone else? Travis, why don't you step up to the microphone over here if you would, because that's not working that well.
Hi, Travis McCoy, for those who don't know. I just want to speak really briefly to the proposal that Selectman Berry brought to the school board a few weeks ago, I believe. I would just, I just went to the school board meeting and basically said the same thing. I'd encourage both boards to see if they couldn't work together in some fashion, see what assets are available to try and offset some of the costs or alleviate some of the hurdles to actually finally achieving having a school that we're not going to have to rebuild in another 25 or 30 years. Giving our students a place where they can actually go to school and have heat, have a roof that doesn't leak, have a septic system that isn't, as they said, 100% saturated. That sounds pretty bad. And to get the safety complex that I feel Deerfield is long overdue in building. So in my opinion, I would encourage both parties to see, possibly look at forming some sort of joint committee if there isn't one already. And look into any options that might be there to sort of facilitate some sort of collaborative project and see if we can move forward and find a way to present something to the town that the citizens can get behind and feel comfortable about doing. Because I know in the past, both projects meet a lot of resistance when it comes to voting time. It doesn't seem like it. Some of the people I talk to, they'd be more likely to vote for an athletic complex than they would a safety complex or a new school. And when I hear those kinds of comments, it tells me that they're not aware of the issues and why these things are so important. Graduated from DCS, first class graduated from there. It's been 30 years, give or take. And in my opinion, I mean, the building it's never going to be big enough no matter what they do. They add an addition on, if they find a satellite, it doesn't seem like there's a logical solution to that problem. So again, I just encourage any kind of communication between the two boards in the spirit of getting these things done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Young lady.
Suzanne Steele, Harvey Road. I just came to thank you. Thank the board for the special meetings, listening to the residents, accepting local donations, and continuing to support funding efforts for Attorney Whitley, who's really been representing our town's best interests. His presence during the hearings has been essential. And I also want to thank Andy Robertson for his part last week at the hearing, representing the board of the town. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Suzanne.
Motion to adjourn?
No, hold on one second. One thing I forgot. Everybody has a copy of a letter in their file.
Yes.
I'd like the permission of the board for the chairman to sign that letter and mail it on.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is that on our letterhead?
That one is. This one is, yes.
Okay, good. It looked almost like a copy.
Yeah, no, this one is the original that will be sent out. You folks have,
Is it though? I mean, is this a, didn't we have a colored seal and letterhead?
I thought we did.
I've seen it, the last few letters that have gone out.
Merry Christmas.
I'll look.
If we don't, I would encourage us to
Get one.
get one, yeah.
Yes.
If I can put,
Don't worry about this one, but I
so
will
Fred
find
made
it.
a motion.
Fred made a motion.
Jeff?
Jeff seconded it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
It's a good letter too, but Mr. Chairman,
That is,
well written.
that's your attorney fees at work.
Oh, okay. I was giving all the credit to you.
Not at all, sir. Now your motion, Dave.
Motion to adjourn, 6:38.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Merry Christmas all.
Merry Christmas to you, boss.
Have a good night.
Fred, enjoy whatever you're gonna do next Thursday.
Gonna do whatever he's told.
Whatever my wife tells me.
That's right.
So did you,